Finally tonight, another trip to the past, but not a serious history lesson. This is more good old days stuff, nostalgia. You know, with the new baseball park going up downtown, there's bound to be a lot of discussion about baseball's future and baseball's past. And for a lot of people, that story begins here in North St. Louis at Grand and Dodier, the site of the long-gone Sportsman's Park.
It's not just the old field and the old players, but the way they fit into the whole old way of life. Growing up in a city bustling with nearly 1 million people. Factories, schools, churches, clubs, streetcars, buses, families, friends, and 2 baseball teams sharing the same North Side Park at Grand and Dodier. It was a time when kids could join the Knothole Gang and see a game for free, and you went on your own. A late afternoon game and then home for supper. A Saturday game and then you could push your way onto a crowded streetcar with plenty of change in your pocket and plenty more to do.
The fun was when school was out, then you could get there early enough to noontime to watch batting practice and everything, but that was great.
I can remember walking up that ramp there every single Sunday and getting our seats and getting our peanuts, or popcorn or your Coke or whatever you'd have, you know. It was fun, really fun.
It had grass. Of course it had grass. You wouldn't play baseball on anything else, unless you were playing in the street or on the playground. But even then, baseball grass was special, and you knew it the first time you saw it.
Well, in 27 Memorial Day, I'll never forget it, my uncle, my mother's brother, agreed to take me. So I go charging up from the ground level to the level of where the field began, and I tell you, I never saw a sky that was bluer or a grass that was greener or a white that was whiter than the creamy uniforms of the ball players.
I remember the short right field porch, as they called it, and sometimes they had a screen there, sometimes they didn't. The grass looked like it was out of a Burpee catalog. I mean, it was just so perfect. I don't think I've ever seen grass like that ever again, except for in a ballpark.
You didn't just sit back and watch from a distance. That's the thing everybody remembers about Sportsman's Park. How close you were to the players, how much you were a part of the game.
You were still close enough to the field and involved in the action that you could see the expressions on people's faces. You could hear some of the language, you know, which wasn't always the best. And you were into the game.
Maybe it has to do with the way the park started out. Not as an urban renewal project or a part of the convention and tourism business, and not as a way of proving that St. Louis was a world-class city. It started out in 1866 as a place to play ball. The old Browns played there. They'd later become the Cardinals. And then the new Browns of the American League came in, and as the professional teams built up the field, the city grew up with it and grew up around it. The location was a good one for the times, right along the main north-south streetcar line, so that Sportsman's Park was there in the midst of a busy urban neighborhood, across from the YMCA and businesses, factories, taverns, and homes. As the crowds grew and the business of baseball grew, the stadium grew. Bleachers replaced the wooden fences, upper decks were added. The result was a park like no other. Not necessarily better in every way, just a place unique to St. Louis, our park. When a player took the field, he knew exactly where he was and the adjustments he'd have to make.
Well, I think the first game I saw at Sportsman's Park was really the Browns. And at that time, Babe Ruth, the only park he played left field in was at Sportsman's. All the rest of the time played right field at all the other parks because of the sun conditions.
Right field was very terrible in the late afternoon sun. The louvers there, that sun would shine through it. If you played right field, it was awfully tough on the eyes.
It was an interesting park because for a left-hand hitter, we all liked it because it had a short right field. And yes, it was a good ballpark. The fans were close enough; you can see the game. It was every seat was a pretty good seat. So our Sportsman's Park was a good park, except you know the infield in St. Louis in the summer was really hard, and with me playing first base, sometimes my feet would get awful hot.
The old-time stadium still had things in common with the school athletic field or the playground. Players would trot in off the field empty-handed, leaving their mitts out on the diamond near their position. Watch the shortstop after he makes the inning-ending play. You'd think it wouldn't be safe, but nobody remembers anybody ever getting hurt or losing a game because of a mitt on the field. And if you've ever wondered why some of the old action photos look so good from those days, it's because photographers were on the field, gathered near home for the batter, or near first or third if they were expecting a play there. You didn't need a telephoto lens, not even to get a picture, when Browns owner Bill Veeck sent Eddie Goodell up to bat.
The famous picture of the midget. If Bill Veeck hadn't tipped me off the night before when we were drinking, we would never had a picture, because the photographer would have been long gone. And now he was there, but he was able to get out on the field, and he kneeled on what you and I would call the on-deck circle, to be that close to the midget.
All of this, plus the physical closeness of the fan to the game, made a huge difference in the ballpark experience, a difference that was easier to feel than to explain. Adding public address systems and making rules, removing gloves and photographers made sense, but they removed some of the informality of baseball. There was a time when kids knew what it was like to share the field with their heroes.
Yeah, the kids would run around on the field. They didn't stop the kids at that time after the games were over.
Yeah, you could do it then, but now you can't. You get on the field, you get arrested. They don't want you on the field. But back in Sportsman Park, you could do it all the time. Everybody was talking to the players and everything, and they did it.
Going to the Sportsman's Park was just we took the Delmar streetcar down to Grand and then over, and it was just the trip going there was almost as exciting as just being there, because it was building up to like Christmas almost, you know. And once you got in the stadium, it was like unwrapping the package on Christmas Day.